the biggest games of the night.
Sixers up 15. Halliburton dances to his right, wheels at the edge of the arc, and drops a three from the right side, his sixth of the game.
Nuggets won't foul here with 7 on the shot clock. Conley left angle, drives on Michael Porter Jr., runs it up, no, slam follow, Karl Anthony Towns. He soared in from the wing. He puts the Wolves up 7 with 39 seconds left.
And doing it like only Frank and Scal can.
There's a channel that explodes with pretty guitar texture and perfect pop melodies. Sirius XM Pop Rocks serves up those undeniable 90s anthems, 2K hits, and today's fresh pop finds. Pop Rocks. Turn it up now on Channel 6 and anytime in the all-new Sirius XM app. To hear Pop Rocks, activate your radio now. Call 844-711-8800 or head to SiriusXM.com/go to sign up quickly.
We want you to see them. SiriusXM Video lets you watch your favorite SiriusXM shows on the SiriusXM app. Groundbreaking interviews, amazing in-show moments, behind-the-scenes footage, live performances, all come to life in a way you only imagined before. Plus, you can create your own personalized Pandora station based on the artists you love. And hear over 100 extra channels filled with ad-free music for every mood or occasion. Get your first 6 months of our Platinum plan for only $8.33 per month, plus fees and taxes. Just call 844-711-8800 to take advantage of this amazing offer.
Country superstar Carrie Underwood shares her music, influences, and inspirations on her Sirius XM channel.
Lesson in good music. Country music, rock music, classic rock, classic country, new favorites, and everything in between.
To hear Carrie's country, activate your radio by calling 844-711-8800 or visiting SiriusXM.com/go.
There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, I see. Okay. You gotta get this.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at equityzonemortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast. License number 0184868.
Rondo Deportes, Bonjour, Vidi Vidi Vici. Let's get ready to rumble! Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to me, and people who love the universe, and that would include you. What a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be my neighbor? Shut up! You know it's 3 o'clock in the morning. They've been having graduations all over the place, but some of the people who come in for graduation, they didn't understand. They came into a neighborhood watch neighborhood. And I've been nominated, so I may as well try to bring people together at 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, sometimes the early bird gets the worm. Okay, maybe I'll do it 3:30. I want to say today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them sent you, where the good Lord split you. And hopefully the good Lord didn't split you too wide that you can't get inside those Cadillac Escalade seats. I want to say you can follow Big C Sports Podcast 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 29 podcast applications all over the universe. And streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. I am so grateful. Today is Monday. We got through a wonderful, wonderful last week. So many wonderful things. The stars align. The sky is more clear. You know, sometimes there's static in the air. May lightning strike when there's static. We don't want any more static at the same time. There are things that happen in life, and you just got to breathe. You got to get through it, and you breathe deep and get through it. Oh, my goodness. I was wrong. What were you wrong about, Big C? I said the Denver Nuggets would repeat as the NBA champions, and that they would defend their NBA championship. But the Minnesota Timberwolves, they said, not so fast, my friend. They went to Game 7. I was right about a Game 7, but I was not right about Denver being able to repeat as champions. And so we're going to have a new champion this year. We have to look at the last couple of years. The Golden State Warriors won it 2 years ago, Western Conference. Then last year, the Denver Nuggets won it, Western Conference. If the trend continues, will we have the Minnesota Timberwolves or the Dallas Mavericks winning the NBA championship, because they're going to play each other in the Western Conference Finals. And just a few years ago, the Mavericks were knocked out by the Golden State Warriors. And it's been a long time since Minnesota's been back there. Now on the other side of the country, in Denver Hills, Massachusetts, we have the Boston Celtics looking for championship 18. They knocked out Cleveland, and then I was wrong, because I said that New York would beat the good of us from Indiana. I was wrong. Jalen Brunson has a little fracture in his giddy up, but they make no mistake, they got beat by Indiana. Indiana came in, and they're going back to Indiana. I think Michael Jackson sang that song. We want the real Michael Jackson. Well, you're not going to get the real Michael Jackson. You get the Big C Jackson, if that makes sense to you. But they're going back to Indiana. They are going back to Indiana. And they come in with the Boston Celtics. Havlicek inbounds to Russell. Russell throws over to Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge over to Larry Bird. Larry Bird over to Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum for 3. Yes! In the hole in your life. Well, at least half of my bets are still alive. I see, I'm not a gambler. When you say the word gambling, that's not for me. I make a U-turn. A U-turn. What's a U-turn, Big C? It's when you turn away from the gambling. That's what I call it. So I don't bet on sports, but I picked New York to play Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals. I was wrong. And I picked the Denver Nuggets to advance in the West, and I did pick Denver to play the Dallas Mavericks. So I was half right in the West, and I was half right in the East. But I can guarantee something. You want to write this down, and you can take this anywhere. You can gamble it. This is my prediction. I predict the team that scores the most points in the Eastern Conference and in the Western Conference Finals, I predict they're going to win. What? What kind of prediction is that? It's the only one I'm good at. I know the one that scores the most points is going to win. My gematria got me 50% right, but I did pick Boston getting to the Eastern Finals. And I tell you, I got a cough button sometimes. But I don't know if I picked Dallas. I did say OKC would not get there. So at the same time, I thought Denver would be there, but they're not there. I don't have a dog in the game, or I don't put money. In fact, walking outside the house today, I found a dime. That's how much money I bet. I'll bet a dime, a nickel, or a quarter any day of the week. Anything more than a quarter, you gotta count Big C out, because I don't like taking money out of my wallet, giving it to the gamers. These gamers, they know they build these casinos for a reason. They don't build them to lose money. It's like, why you buy a rat trap? Not so the rat can go on vacation. You buy a rat trap so you can enjoy not having rats running around. And all the rats running around the NBA, the gaming industry. I should have seen it with my own two eyes. It's easy to be a money quarterback or money point guard. But all the money pouring in New York to play Boston was already in. My common sense says that's going to be the TV ratings that people want to see. New York, Boston, I-80 corridor. But now we have all that money poured in on the Knicks. The house doesn't lose. It's easy to say it now, but it's like, Big C, are the audience bargain mine? I should have known when all that money poured in on the New York Knicks. Look, Vegas is not in it to lose money. Not only did they lose, they lost by double digits. And I thought that they were going to win, and they're going to have an East Coast rival, because New York and Boston, they would love, that would be TV, must-watch TV. Who's going to watch Indiana versus Boston? I'm sure a lot of people in Indiana will, and Boston will, but it does not grab the attention of the country. It just doesn't. Tyrese Halliburton, Jason Tatum, I mean, who are you going to go with? Everybody has their own, hey, I wish them the very best. But on the Western Conference, you have the Luka Doncic. He's a Jedi Knight trained long ago in a galaxy far, far away by the great Obi-Wan Kenobi, and also the great Kyrie Irving. He's a Jedi Knight trained long ago in a galaxy far, far away. And then you got the good boy, the big cat, and Anthony Edwards. They are Jedi Knights trained by the great Obi-Wan Kenobi long ago in a galaxy far, far away. That would be must-see TV. But I was ready to see Denver and Jamal Murray get their groove back and at least try to defend their championship, and it didn't happen. So we know for sure we'll have a new NBA champion. You got to give that praise. You played to win the game. You want to crown them, crown them. They are who we thought they were. The late, great Dennis Green. You want to crown them, you got to crown them later. That's my story that I'm thinking with it. But everybody, if you want to crown somebody, and I got to tell you something. I had an insurance partner. He told me something about media, and I'm not one to say that I'm an expert when it comes to media. I'm still trying to figure out how to use a flashlight. Yeah, trying to use a flashlight. But I gotta tell you this. There's a thing called Perplexity AI. Perplexity what? It's called Perplexity AI. I'll talk about it a little bit later. It's like Chat GPT. And I'm going to get into that too, because I'm learning a lot about myself, and I'm trying to win the lotto. And I asked her for the numbers, and would you believe it gave me some numbers? Now I don't know if they're the winning numbers, but why would a computer lie? Why would a computer lie? Now people lie all the time, but computers don't lie. At least they haven't been trained to yet, or maybe they do. You never do. I want to say what I do with the Big C Sports Podcast. I love having fun with this show. And I think I'm one of the only sports shows in the universe that will champion reparations every show, because a mind is a trouble thing to waste. But I got a new toy. It's called Perplexity AI, and I want to play with it a little bit later. You know, I want to play with it a little bit later, and hopefully it won't lie to me. But I want to say I always produce the show. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows. I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We could all use more laughing in our lives. The commercials are done, the stats are provided, the storytelling, and then I even do the play-by-play. Carl Anthony Towns 4-3, yes, in the hole in your life. You know, Scotty Scheffler, he was accused of a felony against a police officer. He's supposed to be arraigned today. His attorney has pushed it back into the month of June. I guess that's just the way the ball bounces. But then, as I say, the play-by-play is done. The show's uploaded to 29 podcast platforms out of New York City, and it's streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. And I never missed a show since doing Big C Sports with the crew back in the day. Really do appreciate that. And then, not only that, I want to say I love giving praise to the Veterans Crisis Hotline, because a mind is a terrible thing to waste, and they really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. You know, anybody going through issues, pick up the phone. Call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give it some praise, because we all need somebody to lean on. And it's nice leaning on somebody when somebody's leaning back. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. It's nice when somebody's leaning back. I want to say, because my voice is much better this week than it was last week, praise God for lemon and NyQuil and gargling with salt water. And just the things that come when you get allergies this time of year, especially in California, it tries to kick my butt, but I try to kick back, if that makes sense to you. But in the meantime, I want to do something that's near and dear to my heart, and I would hope it be near and dear to the heart of the White House, because I was told growing up, if you owe somebody, you should pay them back, or at least make the attempt to pay them back. And some people say that's the right thing to do, kind of the Boy Scouts honor. And when it comes to the United States, for the land of the free and the home of the brave, we believe in that, because America's a just country. And you got to understand that whenever you have more than one person in a room, you're going to have agreements and disagreements. Sometimes I don't even agree with myself. And sometimes you talk to yourself, and you take a different opinion because you have, my other mind says, I ought to give you a piece of my mind. Well, no, you don't got that much mind to give. I want to keep all my mind. But there are times when I agree or disagree with myself. We all know it's true. We all do. So when it comes to reparations, of course there's going to be people who are pro and con when it comes to reparations. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do the right thing. Even a nickel's right half the time, if that makes sense to you, or that dime that I found coming out on the driveway this morning. At the same time, I want to say, I hope, just like singing your ABCs, you can learn the names of the Reparations Task Force members. I'll do my best. I want to give praise to all of them. I've met every single one of them. I want to give praise to Attorney Camila Moore. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I'm going to give praise to Dr. M.S.C. Brown. He's the vice chair. I love giving him praise. In fact, he actually came on the Big C Sports podcast last month. Really bright man. Really do appreciate him. And I also want to give praise to him. I want to give praise to California Senator Stephen Bradford. He's brilliant. Love giving him praise. Met him several times at the task force rallies, and also at his office several times, Secretary of State building at the last day of the Reparations Task Force rally last year. And then also in his office, really brilliant man, Stephen Bradford. He does things with a pen. He doesn't march up and down the street. He puts his pen to paper, and that's why he got the Ebony Alert passed. That helps law enforcement find black children with the same effort that they find in the Amber Alert for white kids. He helped NIL get passed. Now college student athletes get paid for their name, image, and likeness. He didn't march up and down the street. He took the pen to the paper. He also helped get Freedmen's Bureau passed in the Senate by 8-1 vote and 1 abstention. He did it by putting pen to paper, and he's going to help get reparations passed by putting pen to paper. And that's what I appreciate about him. I want to give praise to Councilmember Monica Montgomery Stepp. She's brilliant. Love giving her praise. I'm going to give praise to, I'm telling you, Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Shell Grills. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Attorney Lisa Holder. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, professor at California Berkeley. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to Attorney Donald K. Tamaki. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise, part of the California Reparations Task Force. You give him praise too. Give him all praise. I say give him praise, praise, praise. I love giving him praise. A lot of sports shows now are talking about giving praise. At the same time, I have a commercial. I've been working on this commercial. It's called an infomercial, Big C. Okay. I told you sometimes people can't agree. Sometimes my other mind, it doesn't want to agree with me either. But I'm calling it an infomercial because I'm trying to get it across, the point across, and I just got more information today about organizations that want to meet with the RDC team with Big C Sports. Now, I do mine the way I know how. I do one take. I don't do 3 or 4 takes. I'm not knocking anybody that does. Most producers, they go into a studio, they take between 3 and 30 takes. I do it one time. If I make a mistake, you hear my mistake. If I don't make a mistake, you don't hear my mistake either. But it's all fair, never more. The main thing is that you get the message, and I try to sing it. It's a lot easier. Remember, a guide to protect, preserve, and transfer wealth, resource development consultant, in conjunction with the law office of Scott Thibodeau and attorney George Jones, the missing link, long-term care solutions by the book, over 3 decades of experience, helping seniors get their benefits. That's important to help seniors get their benefits. Medicare and you, taking care of tomorrow, health care coverage in California is called Medi-Cal. Now, your family and spouse can avoid the spend down for nursing home costs. Find out your options, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. Our promise to you, specialized to navigate and maximize long-term care benefits, protection of your assets without a spend down. All paperwork and communication liaison with all government agencies are handled by our staff of entitlement specialists, ongoing consultant to provide updates as necessary, benefits covering skilled nursing facilities, prescriptions, medical equipment costs, and more. Have you ever known anyone to deal with covered skilled nursing facilities? Have you ever known anyone to deal with medical prescriptions? Have you ever known anyone to deal with medical equipment costs and more? Not only that, protection of your assets. You ever know anyone who needed their asset protected? Well, that's what we do with the RDC team, including your home, thereby allowing you to leave a legacy for your family. Avoiding the nightmare of debt brought by the government's estate recovery program can be between 10 to 40%. Talk about losing your assets. You gotta have a will and trust, and if you don't have that, then your assets are exposed. And that's what we help you cover with the RDC team. A one-time processing fee versus monthly insurance premiums for the rest of your life. Not only that, I'm not done yet. You ever have somebody tell you, I'm not done yet? Well, you better eat faster. Where I grew up, if you're not done yet, then you're not going to get second and third. At the same time, I love talking about asset protection. In conjunction with the Law Office of Scott Thibodeau and Law Office of George Jones, protection insurance coverage required by law, general liability, workers' compensation, lawyers specializing in living trust, Medicaid, or Medi-Cal planning for long-term care, avoid probate, life insurance, veterans benefits, aid and attendance, pre-planning and avoid the look-back period. What about fixed assets, Big C? I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked about those fixed assets. Your bank account, checking account, savings account, money market account, certificates of deposit, life insurance with cash values, fixed index annuities. What about variable assets? I'm glad you asked. Real estate, qualified money, IRA, 401k, other investments. Avoid capital gains. Now, I tell you, I went to a function, real estate function over the weekend, and you could buy a house for $100,000, somebody was telling me. Where? I'm like, where? He like on the moon. But then 1 year later, it appreciates to $1 million. That's a $900,000 capital gains, even on the moon. That's about that commute. I think I work from home on the moon. You can avoid capital gains with a trust. Over 3 decades of experience. Attention, business owners. I sent out another application today. It's important. Find out your other options to protect what your insurance does not cover. How do we do that, Big C? 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. And just tell them Big C sent you. Oftentimes, all we need is a copy of your insurance declaration page. And in many industries, we can save up to 30% nationwide. You owe it to yourself in your pocketbook to just call me and get me a copy of the declaration page. It talks about all the benefits. We do an even comparison. And if we can do a better job than what you already have, we want your business. But if we don't do a better job than what you have, then you got a great second opinion. Then stay with who's doing a better job for you. It's not always the cheapest insurance that helps, it's the ones that cover you. And with the RDC team, we help you protect your assets. Most insurance companies, they just protect what you're paying on the insurance. There's a lot to it. I also want to say 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. And when it comes to that, you want to know, when I'm telling you something, I'm telling you to do the same thing that I'm asking you to do for us. If someone says do business with me, ask them who endorses it. Who already have you done business with that endorses you? Endorsements are powerful. If you get an endorsement, it's worth its weight in gold. I'm one of the only consultants in the universe that will tell you get a second opinion. How many people say get a second opinion? Big C does. Because our endorsements are Mr. George Jones, Esquire, the chairman of the California Black Chamber of Commerce, also California Black Chamber of Commerce Foundation, also Scott Thibodeau, attorney at law, Mr. Leon Woods, resource development consultant, works with many of the top lobbyists in California. That's important. Mr. Ray De La Cruz, he's the president and CEO of Resource Development Consulting, had the endorsement of the CalPERS top legal mind, the late Robert Carlson. That's quite of an endorsement. We have Miss Cheryl Brown. She's the chair of the California Commission on Aging. That's quite an endorsement. We have Mr. Alex De La Cruz, founder of American Veteran Benefits. That's quite an endorsement for all of you veterans trying to get your aid and attendance. That's important. And then we have Charlton Curry, co-chair of the National Black Wall Street Project, also owner of Big C Sports Podcast, and business development consultant for RDC, working with military, private industry. And I'm just saying, that's important. Not only that, we have Double O. She's a consultant, also a part of the payout committee of the National Black Wall Street Project, has her own economics awareness talk show called Let's Eat. It's a great show. You can hear it on Access Sacramento. So when we tell you, get your opinions, get your endorsements. We're on the air. We can't run and hide. That's why I always say 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. Whether it's real estate needs or your trust, anything that you're dealing with, probate, long-term care, I have such great endorsements. And I love giving that information out there, from Equity Zone Mortgage to RDC team. I have great connections, and you hear about them on the program, and that's what I say. I say, give that some praise. Give it praise, praise, praise. And that's my story. I'm taking with it. You know, I don't know if I want to say this or not, but the thing that happened with Sean Puffy Combs, and there's a video that came out. I always talk about there's no excuse for domestic violence. There's just no excuse for domestic violence. None. And, you know, people can pull it up. I think I might be wrong about this, but I think every minute a woman's abused in the United States, I mean, that might be low. I've never been abused in my life, so I don't know what it's like. I've been in fist fights, and I'm undefeated, by the way, except for when my brother sucker punched me back in the day when I wasn't looking. But, you know, that's what brothers do sometimes. We were teenagers. But I don't know. It's really even hard to talk about because I wasn't. But see, I don't want to be the guy that says, well, it's not my problem, I don't want to talk about it. I think every man and woman knows somebody who's got that butt kicked by some asshole man. And those assholes know who they are. And they should be dealing with law enforcement. I've never hit a woman in my entire life. I'm not tooting my own horn, but I haven't. I was raised right. But it came out on a videotape. I mean, this guy named Cat Williams, I listened to him a while ago, and he talked about things that are coming out. So, obviously, it's been all over the news. And then he comes out and apologizes. Apologize for what? If you apologize, turn yourself in. That's the real apology. Turn yourself in if you're really sorry. I mean, he's going to be, charges going to be coming, it's imminent anyway. Because the dirt will come out in the wash. The dirt will come out in the wash, it always does. But for any woman going through that crap, why would you go back to that person? I don't understand it. I don't know, maybe they pull at their heartstrings. They're just going to do it again. It's not the first time he's done it. There are a lot of people coming out saying what he did. And, you know, people can do what they want to do. I even heard a program where Stephen A. Smith is starting to talk more about real talk and not just sports. Because we as black men, we've been so pigeonholed. Just tell us touchdown, home run, three-point play. Old man Willie, he's going all the way. And oftentimes, the men and the women with the biggest voice, they can be the biggest protectors. But if the white men tell us, don't you dare talk about anything that will help your family or your people, sometimes we become quiet. But I'm proud of Stephen A. I don't even know Stephen A. Smith, but when I heard him talking about something today and how he discussed it, I don't care who you are, all of us come from a mother and a father. And if you have a woman in your life that you love, there's no way you put your hand on her. That just wouldn't happen for any woman that thinks, oh, he only did it because he got mad at me. He only did it because I said the wrong thing. Anybody that loves you, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't put their hand on you. That's why I say just call 911. May lightning strike! Don't let no one do that to you. You gotta call 911. So I saw him walk down the hallway in a towel. The woman was at the elevator. I think he punched her in the back of the head, then grabbed her by the hair, threw her to the ground, then kicked her a couple of times, then grabbed her and pulled her down the hallway. And then he, on the camera, and then he comes on some TV program and says, "I'm sorry. I need help. Nothing. I don't know what's wrong with me." You gotta turn yourself into law enforcement. Because you know if someone did that to your own daughter, you want to take him out, and you know it. I'm not talking about vigilante justice. I'm just saying, if you're a woman and you're getting your ass kicked, call 911. Don't let that fool tell you, "Oh, baby, you know, I was just having a bad day. We gonna make it right. You know, you asked me where I was, and I don't like when someone asks me where I am. You know, you said how you doing as opposed to how are you, and you know that pisses me off. You know, you asked me why'd I get home so late, and that's none of your effing business. That's why I slapped you upside the head." Don't let people do that to you. All your daughters. Call 911. And if you're a man doing it, turn yourself in. You're so tough. Turn yourself in, find the biggest guy in the jail, and slap him upside the head. Oh, now you want to be friendly. Don't do that to women. I want to play something that I think is very important for a lot of people to hear.
250 years of brutal slavery, decades of black codes and Jim Crow laws, housing discrimination, and other forms of systemic racism. All of that has led to a shocking wealth gap between black and white households in the United States. The median black household in America has around $24,000 in savings, investments, home equity, and other elements of wealth. However, the median white household is around $189,000, a disparity that has worsened in recent decades. This racial wealth gap is even greater among older adults. The median white American in their late 50s had $250 more wealth than the median black American. In the last decade of the 19th century, the rate of decline in the white to black wealth ratio slowed, but it would take another 50 years for the gap to fall by half again, as the emergence of discriminatory laws and policies curtailed black social, political, and economic advancement. With unequal pay and limited access to capital, blacks faced challenges that made it difficult to save, invest, and accumulate wealth. To understand the need for reparations, we must first understand how the white to black wealth gap came to be, how blacks were kicked off their land, and every form of black wealth was destroyed in the 19th and 20th centuries, and how racism and discrimination ensured blacks would not get the same quality education, healthcare, and housing as white folks. Before we get right into the video, please smash the like button and subscribe to the channel to keep informed of our eye-opening black narrative. The brutal slave trade slavery in the United States was an institution that treated African and African Americans as property that could be bought, sold, or given away. About 600,000 slaves were transported to the United States, or 5% of the 12 million slaves taken from Africa. From 1526, during early colonial days, it was practiced in what became Britain's colonies, including the 13 colonies that formed the United States. Throughout the 17th and 18th centuries, people were kidnapped from the continent of Africa, forced into slavery in the American colonies, and exploited to work in the production of crops such as tobacco and cotton. Over the centuries, millions of enslaved people were legally treated as property in the United States, brutalized and ruthlessly exploited for free labor, which was used to establish the country as a leading global economy. In fact, one historian estimated that by 1860, enslaved people were, quote, worth some $3.5 billion, making them the largest single financial asset in the entire U.S. economy. That's around $115 billion today. Enslaved people in the antebellum South constituted about 1/3 of the Southern population. Most lived on large plantations or small farms. Many masters owned fewer than 50 enslaved people. In the late 18th century, with the land used to grow tobacco nearly exhausted, the South faced an economic crisis, and the continued growth of slavery in America seemed in doubt. By the mid-19th century, America's westward expansion and the abolition movement provoked a great debate over slavery that would tear the nation apart in the bloody Civil War. Through enslaved forced labor, black Americans created billions of dollars in generational wealth for their captors and none for themselves. Back then, the U.S. government understood the need for reparations and passed an order to distribute 40 acres and a mule to all formerly enslaved families so they could build wealth and financial security. However, after President Abraham Lincoln's assassination, President Andrew Johnson reversed Field Order 15 and returned land back to former slave owners. Instead of giving blacks the means to support themselves, the federal government empowered former enslavers. For example, in Washington, D.C., slave owners were actually paid reparations for lost property, the formerly enslaved. This practice was also common in nearby states. Many black Americans with limited work options returned as sharecroppers to till the same land for the very slave owners to whom they were once enslaved. Slave owners not only made money off the chattel enslavement of black Americans, but they then made money multiple times over off the land that the formerly enslaved had no choice but to work. Though freed, black Americans were left without any form of wealth or sustenance. This would mark the beginning of the wealth gap that we see today, Jim Crow laws and black codes. After the United States Civil War, state governments that had been part of the Confederacy tried to limit the voting rights of black citizens and prevent contact between black and white citizens in public places. Black codes and Jim Crow laws were laws passed at different periods in the southern United States to enforce racial segregation and curtail the power of black voters. After the Civil War ended in 1855, some states passed black codes that severely limited the rights of black people, many of whom had been enslaved. These codes limited what jobs African Americans could hold and their ability to leave a job once hired. Some states also restricted the kind of property black people could own. Under black codes, many states required black people to sign yearly labor contracts. If they refused, they risked being arrested, fined, and forced into unpaid labor. During Reconstruction, many black men participated in politics by voting and by holding office. Reconstruction officially ended in 1877, and southern states then enacted more discriminatory laws. Efforts to enforce white supremacy by legislation increased, and African Americans tried to assert their rights through legal challenges. However, this effort led to a disappointing result in 1896, when the Supreme Court ruled in Plessy versus Ferguson that so-called separate but equal facilities, including public transport and schools, were constitutional. From this time until the Civil Rights Act of 1964.
Now, when you hear about Plessy versus Ferguson, the Supreme Court ruled against African Americans then. At the same time, when you hear the media, they're all over the news about Sean Puffy Combs, P. Diddy, and his assault on that woman that was trying to get on an elevator, and many other accusations. The media is all over that. They can't wait. The shoe's gonna drop on P. Diddy. He's gonna have to pay the price. And if he did those crimes, then he should. Especially what I saw on tape. Some people want to defend him so bad. They say, "Oh, that tape was doctored." Well, tell that to women who are really battered and they're in the hospitals or in women's shelters because someone's harming them. Where's the same outrage for what happened through slavery, where people were lynched, beaten, murdered, sold off, set fire, castrated with impunity? And when we hear about reparations, we don't need to pay no reparations. But mainstream wants P. Diddy to pay the price, and he should pay the price for a crime. He should pay the price for a crime. And so should the United States pay the price for the crimes committed against descendants of chattel slavery. How dare you want to show mainstream media a man abusing a woman on television, and you should show it. Because anyone going through that crap, pick up the phone and call 911. That's your only way out. He's going to hurt me if I call the police. Call the police. He's already hurting you. He says he's going to hurt me even worse. Call the police. Call the police. Call the police. But at the same time, when it comes to reparations, who do we call? Who do we call? We're asking for our politicians, the Justice Department, the President of the United States, the executive order. You can advance a reparations plan. If you give descendants of child slavery $1 million per person, you don't have to give it all in one lump sum. You can do it in an annuity that just pays out every year for the rest of your life for as long as slavery lasted for the next generation. That's like buying a house. You don't pay cash for the house. You make a payment. You can make payments on reparations. And you know it's possible.
Discrimination and segregation were legal and enforceable. African Americans faced social, commercial, and legal discrimination. Theaters, hotels, and restaurants segregated them in inferior accommodations or refused to admit them at all. Shops served them last. In 1937, the Negro Motorist Green Book, a travel guide, was first published. It listed establishments where African American travelers could expect to receive unprejudiced service. Segregated public schools meant generations of African American children often received an education designed to be inferior to that of whites, with worn out or outdated books, underpaid teachers, and lesser facilities and materials. However, none of these could stop the growth of Black Americans ready to give all it takes to achieve financial freedom. Before the 20th century, many African Americans owned houses, farmlands, and city lots, and there was the presence of a Black Wall Street in Tulsa, with a predominantly rich Black population. However, the presence of growing Black wealth meant more prejudice, hatred, and jealousy from white individuals. To ensure that Black wealth never becomes a thing, white Americans and the government would go to great lengths to cripple Black wealth. With Black people getting richer and owning more property than ever before, jealous white folks sought to using violence and deadly force to enforce the idea of white supremacy. The Tuskegee Institute and the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People have documented more than 3,000 lynchings between 1865 and 1965. Many of those lynched were landowners, and the goal behind them was to bring an end to Black wealth, take Black land, and uphold white supremacy. These lynchings were not only done by ordinary white people, but some white officials condoned the violence.
Now, when you hear about that, and the media is all over Sean Puffy Combs for what he did on videotape to that woman, I don't know her name, so I don't want to disrespect her at all, but I don't know the name of the woman that's in the video. But there's allegations, there's many, many more. Where's the righteous indignation over the descendants of child slavery being treated so horribly? Lynched, murdered, sold off, raped, pillaged with impunity. I just want to see the same thing. They say liberty and justice for all. It should be for everybody. So that's my story. I'm sticking with it. I know some of you say, man, I thought you were going to tell me who won the game. They laughed and strike. I will tell you who won the game. But at the same time, I want to do the right thing.
Several of them added threats of their own. James K. Vardaman, who was governor of Mississippi from 1904 to 1908, was quoted saying, "If it is necessary, every Negro in the state will be lynched."
Now when you hear that, how do you say we don't deserve reparations? And when you have law enforcement that are raiding an entertainer's house for whatever reason, and it's all over the news, why aren't the same media putting the crimes that happen against descendants of chattel slavery all over the news? You have the footage. You have the documentaries. It's all over the place. And President Biden has it too. Why are they running away from reparations? They know it's the right thing to do. But mainstream media, they're insatiated with trying to see black on black violence. They can't wait to put P. Diddy on the news. And if he did wrong, he should pay the price. But what about the country sitting back and tacitly consenting to the crimes that happened through slavery and Jim Crow, and then they say, well, we don't need to make good on that. you should make good on that. If you're a decent person, even if you're not decent, the law is the law. There's liberty and justice for all. And the clergy should be involved, as well as more than the clergy. That's on a moral perspective, if I can even use that word. But it's about the law. The law, the law, the law, the pen to the paper. There are people who are fighting for opportunities to get reparations, and the California Reparations Task Force is one of them. They're doing what they can. California Governor Gavin Newsom, he has to sign. He can only sign what's put in front of him. That's why I believe that the people who are a part of the Reparations Task Force, they laid out a path to take. It won't please everybody, but whoever has a path, put it together on a petition and get it in the hands of a lawyer and have it served. We got to get our legislators to look at reparations the same way we have people looking at P. Diddy's videos. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. May lightning strike! We deserve reparations.
Here he is.
The problem. At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with. And this is a reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we're coming to get our check.
Lightning strike! That's what I'm talking about. Reparations now, reparations forever.
Rich white people to pay reparations. That's right. Her Atlanta Black Star, New York philanthropist Ed Mitzen, author of Wealthy and White, Why Guys Like Me Have to Show Up and Step Up and Give Others a Hand Up, told CNN this week he was deeply moved by the ongoing legal plight of the last 3 living survivors of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre, leading him to donate $3 million in 2022 to help them. While he criticized public officials in Oklahoma for stalling compensation efforts, Mitzen called on other wealthy white Americans to contribute to reparations, citing the lack of action from state and federal governments. That is powerful. Here's the CNN interview about that.
I can't give them justice, but I can give them generosity.
Saratoga Springs millionaire Ed Mitzen decided to take reparations into his own hands after witnessing the legal struggle of 3 people who survived the 1921 Tulsa Massacre, all of them over 100 years old.
And it just made me angry. I was sitting there thinking, what happened to them is irrefutable. Whether or not it happened 102 years ago or 2 years ago, it happened. It's undeniable. And it felt to me like the government out there was trying to run the clock out on these folks. And I just felt like I'm in a position that I can make their lives a little bit better so that they know that whenever it's their time to leave this earth, they know that their families are a little bit better off today than they were yesterday.
I think a lot of people look at issues like reparations, they look at those issues as black issues. You feel that they're not just black issues, these are American issues.
Absolutely. And I think that many folks fear that if other people rise up, that they're going to somehow get pushed down. And it's not a zero-sum game. If we can get everybody up the curve, we're a much better country for it. And I truly believe that it's our responsibility in the white community to look at ourselves and look at the advantages that we've had and try to give those same advantages to other people that have been left behind.
Yeah, I don't know why it's so hard for our federal government to act on what that last statement he just said. It's not like America doesn't have a history of reparations. There's just no history of reparations for black people. America helped set up the Nuremberg trials, right? America also paid Japanese Americans, rightfully so, for putting them in internment camps. So it's not like we don't have a history. We know what to do. It's just that we're not willing to do it. 2 years ago, Mittens, New York-based nonprofit Business for Good, donated $1 million to each of the agent survivors. While no federal, state, or local government entities has still never paid a cent to the descendants of Tulsa victims whose entire livelihood were wiped out 100 years ago. The last three survivors, Viola Fletcher, who's 109 years old, wow. Leslie Benfield Randall, 108 years old, and Hugh Van Ellis Sr., who died in October at the age of 102, filed their initial reparation lawsuit in 2020, nearly a century after one of the worst episodes of racial violence in U.S. history.
Now, when you think about reparations and whether it should be paid, we know it should, but we spend so much time focused on sports and other issues that we just got to have a paradigm shift, and that's my opinion. I can't please everybody with what I do with Big C Sports Podcast, but what I am going to do is always try to find that shining moment and point out that there are good people, black and white, that are trying to do the right thing. If only we could get our federal government to do the same thing that the Justice Department did for descendants of Holocaust survivors, they make sure they get paid. Why not do the same thing for descendants of child slavery? You're hearing more and more white people saying reparations is the right thing to do because it's about good and evil. What line are you in? The good line, or are you evil? There's so much that the mainstream wants to do, putting Sean Puffy Combs on television for abuse, but when it comes to paying reparations, then they're quiet about it. Don't be quiet about it. Do the right thing. If it's the right thing to show when someone's doing a crime, they should have to pay the price. They can't do the same thing for descendants. They should be paid housing, education, health care, tax elimination. There are a lot of things we deserve as descendants of child slavery. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Me like this straight. I told you I talked to sports today also, because I believe we can do it all. That's what Big C Sports is about. I want to do it all. I can do more than one thing. I got to say something in the time that I have remaining on the program. There's something called Perplexity AI. And I Googled Perplexity AI, and it brought me something pretty fascinating. And you can look at it too for all of us. I pulled up Big C Sports Podcast, and it says Big C Sports Podcast is a sports talk show hosted by Big C and former NFL football player and longtime award-winning radio broadcaster. He covers a wide range of sports, including NFL football, NBA basketball, Major League Baseball, college football and college basketball, MMA, boxing, golf, soccer, and some key details about Big C Sports Podcast is available on various platforms like iHeartRadio Podcast, Apple Podcast, Alexa, Spotify, Google Podcast, Stitcher Podcast, and more. It says Big C provides analysis and commentary on the latest news and events in the sports world from his experience perspective and dealing with pro athletes. As a veteran broadcaster, recent episodes have included discussing topics like NBA playoffs, Major League Baseball season, reparations debate, and other national news. While primarily focused on major sports leagues, Big C also touches on college sports and combat sports like MMA, boxing, as well as others. So in summary, it's a daily sports podcast featuring insider insights and candid discussions across the entire sports landscape from a seasoned professional broadcaster. And I'm so grateful that more and more people are using that platform, and I see even Stephen A. Smith has had some commentary that's not just not just sports related. And I appreciate that he's taking that platform too and doing that. I want to close out today's show. I'm so passionate about reparations for descendants of child slavery. If we could only get our other athletes to do that too. It's more important than anyone winning a game. But I know some of us are so drunk in love in sports, we can't wait to see who won a game. And that's okay. We can do both. God knows we can do both. NHL hockey's doing their thing. NBA basketball is doing their thing. I do want to say for the NBA playoffs, I was surprised that Denver got knocked out. But congratulations to the Minnesota Timberwolves in the Big Cat. And I was not surprised that Dallas would get past the Oklahoma City Thunder. I even predicted that. So I was half right. I got the Knicks losing. I didn't have them losing. I had them winning. But it's going to be Boston Celtics, Indiana Pacers. I think the ratings will take a hit. And it's going to be the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Dallas Mavericks. And I don't think the ratings will be as high for those two teams either. But it's just the way it is. You play to win the game. You want to crown them, crown them. You got to play to win the game. And that's what I love about sports. It's the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. And everybody has their own thoughts about it. So will the Pacers upset the Celtics? I doubt it. If they're not going to upset the Celtics. You got the Eastern Conference. Number 1 seed Boston versus number 6 seed Indiana. First tip-off is Tuesday, May 21st, 8 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN. And I'm going to say Boston's probably going to win that series of 4-2. At the same time, I'm not showing any shade at Indiana. Boston just, in my mind, they're a better team, and they're due, and they're gonna get in. In my opinion, they're gonna get in, and they're gonna win it this time. I think they're gonna win the NBA championship and surpass the Lakers at winning their 18th championship. And I don't like saying that because I'm a West Coast guy. In the Western Conference, we have a number 3 seed Minnesota Timberwolves with the Big Cat, and Edwards is amazing. They say he's the new Michael Jordan. We'll see. Give me 6 championships first. And then number 5, Dallas Mavericks, the great Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. In that game 1, the Mavericks, they tip off versus the Timberwolves Wednesday, May 22nd, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on TNT. The only thing I wish these guys would champion more is what you heard on Big C Sports Podcast. Is reparations now? Reparations forever. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Everybody has their own thoughts about it. I'll get into Major League Baseball, Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings at a later date. I want to say on every Big C Sports Podcast, I love paying homage to my beautiful family legacy on my mother's side, my great-grandparents, Mama and Pop, my grandparents, Madia and Hezekiah. I could always depend on my mama, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. Running a Head Start program, a food program, and then coaching all boys Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe. Love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My father's side, my grandparents, Albert Curry and Alberta Curry, they had 3 churches and owned 2 gas stations in Oakland. I was 8 years old walking through a hallway in Oakland about 10 o'clock at night. Felt somebody touched me on my forehead. She said, "What are you doing, young man? Going to get some more cookies?" I said, "What are you doing up, Grandma? It's 10 o'clock at night. You normally go to bed at 8:30. She said, "What are you doing? Get some more cookies?" I said, "Cookies are baby crap. What I'm doing, I'm going to get my reparations." And a couple of cookies wouldn't hurt. But she said, "There's something about your voice I love when you speak." Still remember that. And then my beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always making sure planes can fly high so we can all stay safe at night. Love my dad with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Always saying develop your mind to its highest extent. My beautiful brother Todd with that bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning when Todd would speak. Always saying go forward, Reparations reader. Love Todd with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful daughter Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. College graduate, 2 degrees with honors in 3.5 years. From a major university. You can be anything you want to be, Daisy. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Always trust God. Isaiah 50:17, that no weapon formed against you will prosper. My beautiful, handsome son, Daisy, I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And hopefully things get better soon. And my beautiful, handsome son, Malcolm, the most handsome son in the history of the universe. College graduate, very smart, every night a good man. You can be anything you want to be, Malcolm. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Always trust God. Be the best man you can be. And always do the right thing, son. I love you with everything I have. And then Big C with all that wealth of knowledge over the years. That my great-granddaddy coming out of that barn always saying, you got to believe, you got to believe, you got to believe. Say, let's get ready to rumble. I love to say welcome to the show. SB nominated Big C Sports Podcast. I have no scripts. I have no 3-way teleprompters. I have no producer in my ear. That's pretty obvious, Big C. I do my show with a gland in the brain called the pineal gland. The ancients call it the third eye. They say that's how you talk to God, and I do the best I can. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, as I always tell you, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink. Because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You can walk it off, you can sleep it off. But don't let someone you love get behind the wheel of a car and start driving after they've been drinking. Especially the life you say may be your own, or someone you love. That's my story, I'm sticking with it. As I always tell you, there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever have to deal with that crap. Anyone hurting you, pick up the phone, call 911. No man, woman, or child should ever have to put up with that crap. And you know it. That's my story, I'm sticking with it. Well, back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He's known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, you sting like a bee, rumble, young man, rumble. He said, but all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat. And every time I listen to Big C Sports, I want a champion. Reparations now, reparations forever. And then I float like a butterfly, and I sting like a bee. There was nobody greater than Muhammad Ali. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, let's honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and President Abraham Lincoln when they said President Biden used the power of the pen to sign reparations now, sign reparations forever. Come on, say it a little bit louder. I said sign reparations now, sign reparations forever. Say it like your heart, mind, body, and soul believes in it. You can sign the reparations now, you can sign reparations forever. I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day.